Being an artist on social media these days is rough. Platforms come and go, and algorithms change like the wind. It isn't just enough to be good at art to get engagement on social media, you also need to know how to market yourself, which definitely comes easier to some people over others. Unlike other forms of content, making art every week and posting it online takes a lot of time, and that's just coming up with ideas to draw. That doesn't even include when to post, how to post, and what type of media you should be posting. It isn't surprising that a lot of artists deal with burnout because of this. And that doesn't even cover the whole issue of AI theft or theft from other scammers who just want to sell your work without giving you any credit. But there's also the other flip side of it too. If you're like me and have grown up in a place where art isn't exactly encouraged or seen as something to pursue, the internet offered a place for artists to express themselves how they see fit in a way that was pretty much free of charge. They could connect to other artists who might have similar interests as them. And with the advent of YouTube, it was possible to learn how to draw pretty much anything under the sun. Because even now, in the year 2025, art books and art courses are still quite expensive, and not exactly accessible for all people of all skill levels. I'm Ayasuna, and I make videos, more specifically art videos. And it's the YouTube art community that I actually kind of wanted to talk about in today's video. Because a lot of the OG artists on social media have been going through a rough patch these past few years, but more especially these past few months. We're talking about pioneers on the online art space like Jaza, Ergo Josh, and now Ross Draws, all of whom have been using AI in their own projects. Understandably, a lot of longtime fans of these creators were quite upset when they found out that their favorite artists were starting to use AI in their work. And in the case of Ross Draws, he didn't exactly admit that he did use AI. It was found out that way by another artist, I believe. And what's worse about these three artists in particular is that their videos helped inspire quite a ton of artists to post their own artwork on social media. So seeing them being disheartened about the process of making art and falling out of love with doing art is something that sent ripples throughout the art community. Because if art is seen as a commodity, it's going to continue being undervalued for all the work and sweat and tears that artists put into their drawings. And holistically speaking, that's a very bad place for the art community to be in, not just on YouTube, but in other platforms as well. I mean, the art community itself has done quite a good job at tearing itself apart. I've already made a few videos talking about that in the past. And it's not like I don't understand burnout, because I've recently gone through a bit of a burnout myself lately. And I only really do art as a hobby. I'm not really doing it for any particular financial gain or to support my family. I don't always get enough time to work on my art as much as I would like to. And even if you really are passionate about something, it doesn't mean that you can't experience burnout because of it. Anyone of any profession can deal with burnout. Artists are humans just like anybody else. Filming art content definitely takes a lot more B-roll than other forms of content. And especially with traditional artwork, getting the right lighting has definitely been a struggle half the time. And even then, despite your best efforts at filming, things just sometimes don't turn out. I myself have had to scrap several ideas just because the footage itself just didn't turn out the way that I had hoped. But on the flip side, you can't consistently preach about starting out as an artist and all the difficult steps that you have to take to get where you're at if you're just going to run to AI when it comes to a difficult project. I've talked about it previously that AI can technically be a tool for artists if used responsibly. For instance, a random word generator for art prompts is also quite helpful at times, and I've also used the color corrector quite a lot in my own digital art. But I never quite bought the idea that AI art, quote-unquote, can be used as inspiration, or that they helped with referencing certain drawings or poses or aspects of art. At best, they're shortcuts and they don't really improve your own artistic skill. Obviously, people like Ross Draws or Jaza have been drawing for many years, so obviously it's not like they don't know the fundamentals of art. Being a good artist also means that you need to be able to observe what you see and be a good researcher. If anything, with the advent of AI, it's becoming harder and harder to find decent references to use online. This is my monthly petition to Pinterest to add an AI filter for their content, because even despite me clearing out AI from my search results, it still winds up on my feed. Please fix it. But getting back on topic, and even looking at this as the perspective of someone who is mainly self-taught, these are things that you just sort of pick up the longer you've been drawing. As with any skill, you get better at it the more you keep at it. And again, this is advice that these people have given in their own art videos. So the disconnect between them talking about how to improve and then going on and using the shortcut of AI is just really puzzling to me. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. In Joss's case, I think that he used AI to help with the project that he was working on. But if he commissioned a smaller artist to do those types of projects, then that would have been better for the art community as a whole. Because art as a niche is still quite top heavy. Although on YouTube, I've definitely been drawn to a lot of smaller artists lately on my feed, and that's actually a welcome change. Seeing new faces in the art community is always a welcome sight. And if you made it this far, it's time for my shilling segment. I myself am trying to build a community of like-minded artists or creatives or just cool people in general. So if you like the topics of art, art history, media literacy, and video games, then this is the channel for you. I like talking about these topics because art definitely shouldn't be something that can be consumed and thrown away. It's definitely something that should challenge our thinking. Art has been used to justify great good and great evil. And being able to break that down and contextualize what we see is something that is going to be helpful for not just artists, but as society as a whole. So again, if you like those topics, don't hesitate to drop a like, as well as subscribe to my channel. I mainly try to post a video every week, but I'm trying to make changes to post twice a week. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/isuna19, although lately my streaming schedule has kind of been all out of sorts, so bear with me. I have both my Discord and my Twitch channel pinned in the description, as well as other socials where you can find me active on. I just generally think with something like generative AI potentially taking a lot of creatives' jobs, it's an issue that I'm pretty black and white about, personally. We know that these AI models train themselves on other people's work, and 99% of the time the original artists aren't credited for said work. So instead of using these machines to quote-unquote make art, why not commission artists to do so? And give them the space to grow as well in the art community. I knew that if I had the fraction of their monetary success, I would be commissioning artists left and right. I would love to commission art for my own channel, but I want it to be when I know that I can make enough to pay them fairly. And I know there might be some devil's advocates down in the comments saying that if you pay another artist, then you're technically having more competition. But AI is also sort of doing that for the creative field in general, so I don't really buy that argument either. Again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I'd much rather support a real-life human artist as opposed to an AI machine. And going on another little tangent here, given the current political landscape lately, protest art has become more mainstream again. But it really grinds my gear when I see AI art being used as protest art. Like, you can't exactly be against capitalistic greed and then use AI in place of a real artist. Because let's face it, a lot of the Stable Diffusion software was created for money and capital gain. The developers of this AI software definitely don't care about the process of making art. They just want a quick buck. Artists are quite literally the backbone for a lot of protests in modern history and ancient history as well. People are by and large quite visual. Symbolism is pretty much everything when it comes to real-life activism. So if you really wanted to make a stand against corporate greed, it makes sense to support your local art community because it can go a long way. And community doesn't necessarily have to just apply to people in your neighborhood, it can apply to your online friend group. Moral of the story is community is important, and being able to spread your ideas within a community is also important for taking action. We believe supporting actual artists on this channel. Getting back to talking about the artists in the YouTube art community, I've heard the argument that using AI art is helping them improve their workflow. And again, I don't always buy this argument either. Art isn't always about min-maxing your technique, even though it can help sometimes. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use AI to improve your workflow. Again, these people are professional artists and have been drawing for many years at this point. Of course, there's nothing wrong with changing your technique, that's not what I'm saying at all. Sometimes things change, you use a different software, you pick up a different medium, I understand that much. Despite myself still being quite rusty with digital art, I never really felt the need to use generative AI to fix my shortcomings. A lot of my problems with digital art was because I just didn't understand what I was working with. So I have to keep studying and trying new things until I figure out what works. Efficiency can be important when developing your own artwork, but again, like many other things, it's not the end-all be-all. If you practice, you will become more efficient, but being able to see your mistakes and actually work on them is what sets you apart from others. Now, I'm saying this as a hobbyist mainly. I don't really do art to make money, like I said previously. But these people are professional artists, and they have took commissions before, so it's not like they don't understand what needs to be done to get their art done in a particular time frame. And literally in Joss's case, he's made something out of nothing, which is definitely something that takes talent, as well as skill. He definitely knows the ins and outs of creating something and it taking days to film or complete. And even if he didn't have time to work on a particular aspect in his case with his project, it could have been something that a collective of artists could have worked on, or even getting feedback from his community could have helped a long way. One of my favorite OG artists that I adore and have been watching ever since I was a baby artist myself, Jaden Animations, took her winnings from a competition and gave back to artists who wanted to go to art school and pursue creative careers. She understands it's hard to get a career in the creative field, especially now. But giving people the opportunity to change their lives is something that a lot of people won't forget. She even admits that she's tired and gets burnt out at making her animations all the time, but she never thought to turn to AI to make her process easier. Despite what boomers may tell you, art is an important field. Art is part of STEAM, believe it or not. If you have a favorite musician, TV show, anime, manga, really anything, it was probably designed by an artist or designer. Visual storytelling is something that humans have always done and is something that will not go away. And I'm sure people like Ross Draws or Ergo Josh or Jazza have thought about wanting to be an artist when they were younger. They likely had people that they looked up to pursue art in the first place. And these are the people that became the pioneers of online art content. Jazza himself said that he used to frequent Newgrounds a lot when he was starting out his art career. So it definitely would be especially disappointing as a younger artist myself to look up to these people who've spent their whole lives becoming artists to suddenly turn around and then turn to use AI. Something that's robbing younger artists from even intending to aspire to become artists in the first place. It's like that saying where you live long enough to be the hero or die becoming the villain. That's sort of what's happening here. And I'm interested in what you guys think about this situation, and if you have any other details that you guys would want to share about this. So of course, let me know down in the comments. A lot of people want art to be some sort of instant gratification, but that's just not what art is. If it's something that you want to pursue, you have to take the time to do it. There will be ups and downs and moments where you don't really feel like trying. I do think that sometimes we get caught away with following what these bigger artists are doing, but a lot of them also did come from humble beginnings. That you don't really need all the fancy tech or tools to get started. And maybe it's seeing art as being part of a brand is what leads to artists feeling like they need to have all these things to be successful. It can put younger artists in this mind space that you need X, Y, or Z in order to succeed, and that really isn't always the case. While it is true if you want to grow on social media that you need to market yourself, using AI certainly won't necessarily guarantee that you'll get there any quicker. It definitely takes hard work and persistence, and it is going to take many years before you see any sort of results a lot of the time. Now let me be clear, I'm not some purist saying that you can't make money off of your art. In fact, there's nothing quite wrong with that. And anyone suggesting that there is, then that's quite misleading and not what I'm getting at in this video. My issue is when artists start to see their art as part of a brand. because then it's less of something that you do to express yourself creatively, and more of doing something because you're expected to do it. And of course, dealing with others' expectations on you will definitely lead to burnout. Which makes what people like Ergo Josh and Jaza do feel even more disappointing, because both of them have extensively talked about how burnout shaped their own artwork to the point where they even considered quitting their channels. On one hand, you can't say that you understand the plight of beginner artists these days and their struggles to get known in the space, and on the other, run to the beast that's fueling a lot of their anxieties these days, that being AI art, of course. Because then you have the situation where your older viewers know that you're full of it, knowing that they were there when your channel just started. And then you have newer viewers thinking that this is what you need to do in order to be successful. And if that's the mentality that a lot of the OG artists have towards art and making art-related content, then I seriously wonder what the state of art YouTube is going to be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. And you know, maybe that's why I'm drawn to smaller channels these days. Because a lot of them have started their own channels, just like mine, out of a place of passion. I like seeing the beginning of an artistic journey or a content creation journey. To me, it feels more authentic. They are less monetarily incentivized to say a certain point of view. And I think the biggest issue out of all of this is with AI art, it feels like art is being corporatized. Which again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that you promote creativity, then be in bed with those that want to censor it. And mixing the two hardly ever ends well. I think some OG artists understood that and took a break, or at least take a step back from creating art content. I think others have done art for so long where they don't necessarily feel all that passionate towards it anymore, but don't know exactly how to pivot from doing art to doing other types of content, as was the case with Ross Draws in particular. You can't exactly be upset when your audience understands this and feels like they've been lied to. And given how opinionated artists can be, they definitely don't like feeling like they've been played to. So I guess my question to anyone who's listening is, where do you see the art community going in the next year or two? Or even down the road, like 5 years like I said? Will there be new faces at the top? And will there be an organized push against AI-generated art? Again, let me know down in the comments on what you think about this topic. I've said it once before, but I'd rather try and fail to draw something 1,000 times than resort to using AI. But that's pretty much all I had to get off my chest in this video. Seeing artists that you looked up to use generative AI to do their work or do a project is definitely disappointing. And it flies straight into the face of everything that they ever said about improving artwork, or everything in their journey to get to where they are today. But that's just my 2 cents. Oh, and editor Aya here. Before I wrap this video up, I wanted to apologize yet again for the inconsistent live streams. I've been going through quite a bit lately, and I've been trying to find the balance on work and being able to work on my projects, and it's been a bit more tough than I realized at first. I like making art and I like making content. I like streaming and making videos. I just need to find a way to do it in a way that's sustainable for long-term growth. I wish I could say when I know that my live streams would be more consistent again, but as of now that's still a work in progress. So right now I'm mainly focusing on YouTube because I'm actually having quite a bit of growth on here recently. The best I can offer is I'll go live when I can, and I'm not too tired to actually be entertaining. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on that because I know I haven't been as consistent as I had hoped. And I definitely don't take y'all's guys' support for granted. I never thought that I would ever have over 100 plus subs on my YouTube channel. So I'm having to take a bit of a step back and figuring out where I want to take my content. But I promise 2025 will be a year of growth for my channel as well as other social media venues. So please stay tuned for more, and I'll catch y'all on the next video or live stream. But until then, peace.